We're 1 month into the NBA season officially. So roughly 18 to 20% of the season has been completed. And so for today's video, I want to talk about who are the pretenders and who are the contenders in both conferences. Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat basketball channel. My name is Amir. And before I get into the video today, just want to thank everybody for their continued support of my channel. If you could please subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. I'm joined again with my friend Neil. How are you doing today, Neil?
Doing great. Yeah, like you said, we are starting to get a lot of information about teams, so we can try to figure out what's real and what's not.
Let's talk about it. So I don't watch the NBA as widely as my buddy Neil does over here. So we all know this is a Miami Heat channel, but I wanted to try something new today. So I wanted to talk about just the NBA in general, so current events, but more in particular, after a month into the season, who are the real contenders and who are the pretenders? So there's some teams that have met expectations, and there's a lot of teams that are exceeding expectations in both conferences. So I haven't been watching the entire league as much as I'm assuming Neil has. So that's why I wanted you to join me today, so you can provide that perspective. But let's start off with the Eastern Conference. So I have not looked at the standings in a while, so I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen, Neil, in a second. Able to see it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. So these are the standings as of Friday, December 1st, almost 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So I'm sure there's some games going on right now as we speak. So the Boston Celtics, number 1, 14-4. Not surprised by that, right? So one of the teams that we expected to do well. I have not watched any Celtics games, even the Heat versus Celtics. I think it was Halloween weekend, so I was out with my daughter and some friends. So I know that was a close game that the Heat blew, but haven't watched much Boston Celtics basketball. But obviously they got Porzingis, they got Drew Holiday, who I love. So 14-4, not surprised there. What are your thoughts on the Celtics?
Like you said, I think the Celtics are doing what we expected. They obviously have a fantastic starting five. Ultimately, it's really going to come down to the playoffs when possessions mean a lot more. Is it going to be the my turn, your turn kind of thing that they seem to have against some of the more quality teams? But in terms of what they're doing, nothing too surprising. I expect them to win close to 55 games and be in contention for the top seed in the East. I don't really think, unless they go like on a 7-game losing streak, that anything they do is going to be too surprising one way or another. Porzingis needs to stay healthy. Drew Holiday is a good fit. You want to see continued improvement from Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think one thing I would say is maybe their depth is going to be a question moving forward, but in the playoffs, you're going to compact your rotation anyway. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. So it's really about Porzingis' health and then the my turn, your turn sort of dynamic they run into problems with in the playoffs. But other than that, I think they're right where we thought they would be.
Do you think they're going to win it all?
I think they are on the short list of teams that I would be confident in saying have a chance to win it all. I've been on this podcast before saying I didn't think that Denver would win it. And then they're probably the second or third choice after that. So I think they have a good chance of winning it all.
Are you saying Boston's a favorite or your favorite? Right now, just today.
Favorite. I think I would have to say Boston would be the favorite to win it all. I think based on where we're at right now, I think I would say Boston's the favorite.
Okay, I'm gonna say no because I'm looking at their team, and outside of Tatum, KP, Holiday, Brown, Derek White, their team is trash. Horford is good, but he's old. Payne Pritchard is a decent role player. And who the hell else do they have on their team?
That's what I'm saying. They don't have a lot of depth.
They
Depth
have
is
no depth.
that's
Sam
that's
Hauser, Luke Cornett, O'Shea Brissett from the Pacers, Jordan Walsh. Their team is trash. Yeah, they're going to tighten up the rotation and play like 7, 8. But they're a team that's going to need to like play 7, 6, basically. Like that's like cutting it really close. They're one injury away to anybody named KP, Tatum, Holiday, Brown, or even Derek White. If Derek White gets hurt, that guy fucking balled it up against the Heat last
Derek
year.
White is a very good player for
I
them.
haven't followed him at all last year or this year, but like last year, like he balled it up, and they are so not deep that if they're one injury away from it being done, like they have zero depth at
And
all.
if we're being real, it's going to be Porzingis. Like it's only a matter of time before Porzingis is out in January for 10 games, and then
Yep,
it becomes a recurring issue in the playoffs.
yep, 100%. So they're a top 4 in my opinion, obviously, like overall, and they could win, but I don't see it because they have zero depth, and that means a lot in the playoffs, especially because every single year injuries accumulate, right? So we don't know what that team's going to look like. If they're fully healthy, then that's a different story. We're talking about right now. If they're in the playoffs fully healthy, they would be a top 2 in my opinion. I think among the top 4 or 5 real contenders in the league, I would say they would be one of the 2 teams that I would pick if they're whole. Orlando Magic.
Who
Go
would
for it.
you have as your favorite right now?
I don't know. I haven't been. It was the Nuggets the first 2-3 weeks of the season, so I'm looking at the standings with a fresh set of eyes right now, honestly. So, I know Jamal Murray's been hurt a little bit, and the Nuggets lost a few, but like I was gonna say the Nuggets the first 2.5 weeks, basically, like how good they were looking. So to repeat, but I don't know. Let's go through the rest of the list real quick. So, um, the Orlando Magic, like what the fuck, like 14-5, number 2, like holy shit, like biggest surprise in the East, maybe the NBA. What are your thoughts on them?
I think this is legit. I think this is a very good team. They might not finish second in the East, but I think they are live to get home court in the first round. Basically, they have one of the best defenses in the entire league, and defense travels. You have a great set of players with Paolo, Franz Wagner. Jalen Suggs is becoming a really good defensive player. I really like what I'm seeing from Orlando right now, and I think they have a lot of staying power. I think this is just the beginning of their place to become one of these teams in the East. I was really high on them in terms of making the playoffs, maybe being a top 6 seed, but what they've done so far makes me think that they could be in contention to get a top 4 seed.
Is Paolo good at defense?
Basically, they're running a very good team scheme that is kind of anchored by a couple of players. I wouldn't say that Paolo is like an elite defender. Basically, earlier this season, Paolo wasn't as prolific offensively, but he's starting to get it going, and Orlando's offense is starting to get it going, which is a good sign. But I think it's more just like good coaching, a good team scheme, and a couple of really standout defenders, such as Jalen Suggs, who's really rising up the ranks as one of the better players defensively in the league.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Obviously, they're young. I think they're obviously still pretenders. If we're talking about contenders and pretenders, but you're saying they're a legit surprise. Shocked that you said that you think they'll still maintain a possibility of getting home court advantage. So top 4 seed. I see them falling to like 7-8 possibly, but like within at least the possibility of being outside the play-in. So like I think top 6 at best. Haven't watched much, but they're in the Miami Heat's division, so I've watched some games. A lot of youth. Cole Anthony coming off the bench, huge, great scorer. Gary Harris off the bench, capable scorer. Ingles, good veteran. Um, presence, and then like young guys who are like athletic and defensive, like Wendell Carter Jr. and like Jonathan Isaac, who's finally played after like 50 years. Kid's always injured, but Franz is obviously dope, and Paolo's obviously good. So yeah, like shocked, but not completely surprised. Obviously, like there's a big youth movement as we've seen in the NBA this year, where these teams have been together for like 2-3 seasons and now they're like putting it together. So kudos to them, but they're still a pretender, right? For this exercise, obviously you would agree.
I mean, to win the title, yes, but they're they're on a very good path right now. The
Right,
moves they're making are working.
right. We'll talk about surprises. Are they legit or are they frauds? And then we'll have contender pretender. So they're obviously not a contender. So do you think they're a legit surprise? All right, moving on to the fucks, the Milwaukee Bucks. 13-6, Damian Lillard. Not looking as dominant as people thought on paper. I thought when the fucking Bucks stole Damian from the Heat, which if Damian Lillard was on the Heat with this Heat team, oh my god. I mean, I guess we wouldn't have Hawkeyes because we would have had to trade Hawkeyes, but like we still would have had depth, and I think the Heat would have been dominant. The Heat are freaking would have been dominant with freaking Jimmy the way Bam's been playing this year, and if we were able to keep Hero somehow, oh my god. Um, Thoughts on Bucks contender pretender? What do you think about Dame the fit? Yada yada yada.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about what happened with Milwaukee is basically just making a swap for taking Drew out and putting Damian Lillard in. It's pretty crazy how fast your defense can just like fall off a cliff.
Totally.
One player can really just turn things around that much, and Milwaukee is just not a good defensive team. They're starting to turn it around after some really extreme struggles early in the year. They were probably like 3-3, 4-4. I think they're on a better run right now, but those defensive issues are not going to get fixed overnight. And even if we're talking about a playoff series, they're going to have their fair share of struggles defensively. And going into the late rounds of the playoffs with a coach who's never been there before in terms of being the head guy, that's problematic. So I don't really see Milwaukee as being at the top of the cream of the crop in terms of title contenders. They'll win the division because they play with a bunch of shitty teams. They'll get a top 3 seed, but I could see them getting upset in the second round again, like last year. And it's like, what did you make that? It could easily be Miami. It could be maybe even New York. You would think they would probably avoid Boston.
New York's fucking trash. They're not gonna. They would not lose for fucking Julius Randle. Get the fuck out of here.
Even Philadelphia. I mean, Philadelphia's that's the next team on the list. Philadelphia. It looks like it's addition by subtraction, getting James Harden out of there. Tyrese Maxey is making the move up to another level with his game. And I like what I'm seeing out of Philly. I think they are, at worst, if they're playing Milwaukee, they probably feel like they have a 50-50 shot in a playoff series. That's my personal belief. I don't know what you think about that. Doc Rivers, he has a terrible past when it comes to the playoffs. So they brought in Nick Nurse. Right. Nick Nurse he's a pretty good coach. I don't know if he's like a top tier coach, but I would probably say that's an improvement over Doc Rivers. And then you get James Harden out of there. Tyrese Maxey's improving. I think right now, based on what I've seen, if Milwaukee and Philadelphia played in a second round series, I think it's a 50-50 series right now.
Fair, but Philly sucks in the second round. They can never get to the
I know,
let alone the finals.
Like their ceiling has been the conference semifinals, but I think they would have a very good shot to take out Milwaukee based on what I'm seeing right now.
Fuck the Bucks. All right, so pretender or contender? Bucks.
Pretender. I'd have to say pretender.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I'd have to say pretender based on what I'm seeing.
All right. Giannis, Thanasis. I'm not going to read the whole roster. So, not only are they shittier at defense, but they're freaking not as deep, dude. Malik Beasley's a good pick, but he's a fucking scrub. When all is said and done, he's a fucking scrub. Pat Connaughton, he's fine. He's a good role player. He's a fucking scrub. They have no depth. Also, like Chris Middleton is washed. Like he's not washed, but he's not an all-star.
He's
He,
approaching washed.
he's a yeah. Well, in the grand scheme of what he was before, like he's in his 30s. He's got Achilles knee injuries. Like he can't defend worth shit. So like he's like a negative defender now. Um, so that's an issue, health. And if they lose him, they're fucked. Like they're him and Giannis and Dame is not enough. So he's losing credibility. He's still a good player. I like Chris Middleton, but Brooke Lopez still a good player, but he's 35 and he's slowing down.
He had a fantastic season last year. I just don't think he can be that good again.
No, and he's only getting
He was
older.
really good last year.
Yeah, but they don't have. I mean, like campaign, like 1 out of 4 games, he's gonna be fine. Same with Malik Beasley. Like they don't have guys that can be consistent off the bench like the Celtics, and they have a better bench than the Celtics. But I think defense and depth is also an issue for the Celtics or for the Bucks, just like the Celtics. So I'm gonna say pretender too. Celtics are a contender for sure, but I'm gonna say the Bucks. We'll skip the Sixers because they're obviously
We kind of talked about him a little bit, but
and
yeah.
they're surprising, like, but no one thought they would be contenders, even when they had Harden. So we'll skip that. There's no one really else in the East that are content. We can talk. I mean, this is a Miami Heat channel. Let's talk about the Heat real quick. Fuck the Knicks. The Knicks suck. Pacers, awesome young team. Their defense sucks dick. They're horrible. Cavs, not good enough. No one else on here is.
Cavs are like a surprise on the downside, I would say.
Yes, Miami Heat.
They should be where Orlando is in that range, and they're just not there.
Shush, we're not talking about Cavs. All right, this is pretenders and contenders. Miami Heat, in your opinion, pretenders or contenders to win the NBA or to get to the finals, I guess, let's say. What do you think? I'm going to be biased, and I'm going to say contenders. If you asked me a week ago, even during their win streak, I would say possibly pretenders, but I'm going to say contenders because we've played 9 out of our first 10 games or so, whatever, like on the road. Out of our first 19 games, which we've like played, or the next, I'm kind of buzzed. I don't even know what I'm saying. So we played 9 out of, we played so many fucking road games. It's insane. Like we played, let me look at the schedule. Jesus Christ. How many fucking road games did we play? It's like unreal. Let's see. Let's do the math, my friend. This is so bad. Sorry, viewers, if anybody's watching this. Here's the schedule. I clicked on the regular schedule. Okay. Home, away, home, away, 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 home. Away, home, away. How many is this? 1, 2.
You're going to even out, right? You're going to play the same number of home games as road games. So if you got fucked by the schedule early in the season, you'll get that home stand later, and then you can move up the standings.
All right. How many games have the Heat played this season?
What I want to know is, when do the Heat play the Magic? Because that is a game I'm going to want to watch.
Okay. We've played 14 out of 19 games on the road. That is fucking insanity. This is the only team that has done that so far, and they're 11-8. That's pretty good. That's not that bad, right? 14 games out of 19. We've had 5 home games out of unreal. And we've had Tyler Hero miss the last 2 weeks. We've had Jimmy Butler miss 4 games out of 19 already. Bam Adebayo is going to miss his 5th game out of 19. Caleb Martin missed 9 games. So, like, and we're the 6th seed. Like, that's a lot, right? That shows the Miami Heat are deeper than last year. We still have Jimmy Butler. You already mentioned Bam has had a leap. Tyler Hero has improved. What are your thoughts? I'm biased, obviously. It's a Heat channel. We've played 14 out of 19 games on the road, Neil. You know how hard that is to start the season? Like, that's pretty incredible to be 11-8 with all those road games and with all those injuries. Our leading scorer has been out for the last 2 weeks. So I'm going to be biased. I want to hear your opinion. I still think we're contenders. You asked me a week ago, even during our 7-game win streak. No, but without Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry stepped up recently. Josh Richardson stepped up recently. Bam stepped up recently. Caleb Martin's finally healthy. He's stepping up. Jaime Jaquez Jr., third best rookie in the fucking NBA, 24 points last night against the fucking Pacers. Are you kidding me? Tell me your thoughts, bitch.
Okay, so
Contender, pretender.
I got to play devil's advocate. I want to see how they do.
No, give me your fucking opinion. Fuck that podcast bullshit. You don't need to be against me. You're my friend. What do you think?
Look,
realistically,
as long
how
as
deep they are.
Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra, you're going to have a chance in the playoffs, right? But you need to figure out how you match up with Orlando and Atlanta in your division. Division games are going to be key. Orlando's already ahead of you, but you did mention the schedule piece. That's going to even out. They're going to get their home games. They're going to have a huge homestand at some point. We'll see when that is, but that's why I'm really interested to see how those games with Orlando goes, because I'm personally very bullish on Orlando. I think they have some staying power. So those games will really determine how this division plays itself out moving forward.
All right, answer. Are they pretenders or contenders?
I'm just going to go opposite of you and say contenders. Or excuse me, pretenders.
Nope, your true self came out. So, all right. You think they're contenders. Perfect. No, what do you think? Stop it. Fuck the opposite thing. Based on the data that I gave you, all the injuries, all the road games, they're still the 6th seed. They're only going to get healthier.
When they're in the playoffs, they're a team no one's going to want to face. They're going to be a huge problem with Spoelstra and playoff Jimmy. Like, that's real talk.
All right, Miami's the best team in the league. All right, Minnesota Timberwolves. How the fuck I have not been paying attention. The Heat blew a fucking 13, 14, 15-point lead game when we played them. We played them once this year. 14-4. How the fuck are they in the first? I have not been paying attention. I know Ant's been doing good. How the fuck has Cat been doing? I don't know. Has he been doing good? How's Gobert? Why are they number one? Are they a pretender or are they a contender? I'm going to say they're a pretender just based off their name. Minnesota Timberwolves. I think they're a pretender. Neil, prove me wrong.
They're not this good. They're not number one in the West good. But this is what we thought they could be last year. I think in two years ago in 2022, they made the playoffs. They had a really good showing in the first round. And then they made this huge trade to get Gobert. And then people were like, oh, Minnesota, that looks interesting. It didn't look that good last year, but the problem is that we didn't really get to see Cat and Gobert play that much together. Now it seems like they've had good health, so they're number one right now. They're not going to stay there.
No.
But they're definitely a top 6 seed in the West, I would say, for sure.
Well, that's fine. So they're a pretender in your book. They're going to fall eventually.
I mean, if we're talking contender, you're talking about maybe 4 teams in the entire league, and Minnesota's not in that class.
Yeah, it's contender, pretender, too legit to quit, or fucking like illegitimate.
They're not a contender, but they're legitimate. That's how I'll put it.
Fair. All right, Nuggets, contender or pretender? Thoughts on them?
Nuggets are obviously a contender. I just don't think that they are good enough to win back to back. Like if you look at how things have gone, the Spurs with Parker, Duncan, Ginobili, they never repeated. I don't see anything in this team that would make me think they could repeat. I definitely expect them to go deep into the West conference finals probably, or maybe even make the finals again and lose. They're having struggles on the road. Murray was out. They're obviously very talented. Jokic is probably the best player in the entire league. Nothing about that stuff has changed, but there's only one goal that they have, and that's to win the championship again. And I'm just gonna bet against it personally.
I don't like Jamal Murray. I don't know why. I don't think he's that good. Like, he's obviously very good, but I don't think he's like superstar good. He's playing with fucking Jokic. He's not like.
Yeah, I mean, just the way that the team is built makes a lot of sense. Like, Aaron Gordon fits his role really well. Michael Porter's like that person that gets all the free shots because of all the attention Murray and Jokic gets. they just built their team really well, but it's
Yeah.
just like so hard to repeat. And Denver's not like dominating everybody to the point where I think they're going to do it again.
Yeah. Like, look at this team. I'd rather have their point guard. I'd rather have Shea than Jamal. I'd rather have Luca than Jamal. I'd rather have fucking De'Aaron than Jamal. I'd rather have Steph,
Steph,
obviously. Uh, yep, not too many others. Jamal's good. I just don't like him that much. I don't think he's like that spectacular. I think it's Jokic that's
yeah.
running. So.
I mean, you could put almost anybody next to Jokic, and their level is going to go up exponentially.
Yeah, no, he's legit though. Obviously, he's very talented, good scorer, but he's not like a Devin Booker, KD, Shea, Gilgeous, like those types of like Luca type scorers and dominated, players without a Jokic, So, Thunder, dude. All right,
Thunder,
legitimate or illegitimate? Look at this, 12-6, the freaking youthful, talented group, the team that's very young and likes young women. So, what do you think about Oklahoma City Thunder?
yeah, Josh Giddey, what are you doing, man? Anyway, I really like what I'm seeing out of Chet. Chet may have a legitimate claim to be the rookie of the year right now.
Probably not, though.
Uh, I mean, we'll see. We're still early in the season. I think he deserves consideration at the very least. But yeah, the Thunder, they are going to be a problem for a long time. All their players are going to continue to improve. And if they're already 12-6 at this point, I want to see them succeed and get there. Of course, with your youth and you get to the playoffs, it's going to be difficult. So there is probably a ceiling on what they can do this year. But this year, you want to get into the playoffs, be a top 6 seed. If you can win a playoff round, I think that would be a very successful season. But this
Totally.
is just the beginning of their story. Like they have everything in place to become one of the best teams in the league.
Gilgis, dude. Alexander, dude. Superstar, man. That guy can fucking flat out score.
He's definitely top 10, I would say, at this point.
How old is he? Like 24? No, like
Yeah,
26,
I think
maybe.
might be younger. But I think the narrative around that trade with the Clippers being one of the worst trades in NBA history, that might be actually true.
Probably, right? What do they give up again? He's 25.
Okay, he's 25. Okay. Well, I mean, like it was Paul George,
Three
like
for
a boatload of stuff outside of just SGA. So that's already looking like one of the worst trades in NBA history.
Yes, it was. Oh man. Where did I go on the standings front? Okay. Let's scroll back down. Oh no, man, I'm on a different screen. Okay. Um what are your thoughts on the Suns so far? I know the big three have they played a single game together yet? I don't think they have, right?
This reminds me of what was happening in Brooklyn when KD was on Brooklyn. Everybody was so excited to see him, Kyrie, and Harden play, and they played a grand total of what, like 30% of the games, maybe even less.
Yep.
This is starting to look like that situation, and they just never reached their potential. That seems like a very likely scenario with the Suns right now.
Yeah, they haven't played a single game together yet, right?
I think Beal has played maybe 2 games,
Right.
and then
And
he's
Booker's missed like 8 games or 9 games, right? KD's played every game, I think.
yeah. KD's kind of carrying things, which shows that he's still like a legitimate top 4 or 5 player in the league, but he's going to need Booker and Beal if they want to contend for a championship.
Okay.
But I don't even think Beal is that guy anymore. But Booker's great. When Booker's on the court, he looks great. But I don't even think Beal is the guy that we remember him to be during his prime with the Wizards.
Definitely not. He's definitely getting washed with all these injuries over the past 4 years. So it's a shame. All right. Running out of time. So Mavs, I mean, it's so early in the season. You look at the standings, like people can move up and down the standings when they don't even play. You know what I mean? Dallas was like top 2 or 3 like a week ago. Um, I think they're a pretender. Um, I think they're like a top 8 team, obviously, but I think they'll be better than last year. So um, I think they're a pretender. They're not a contender, but they're like semi legitimate. Same with the Kings, pretender, semi legitimate. Lakers, love to see it. What are your thoughts on the Lakers? Do they have any hope getting to like even the second round or the Western Conference Finals?
Yeah, because they did this last year. I mean, last year they were in worse position than they are this year. And if there's anyone who knows how to kind of manage the season, the ups and downs, like you mentioned, we're still like so early in the season. It's LeBron. Uh,
Right.
I expect the Lakers to start trying on a consistent basis, like at the end of March. Until then, they might be in this position in the standings that they're in right now.
Yeah, I agree. The West is just like so much like deeper in a sense, like 11 through 5, I guess, right? Or even 4.
The
Like
Clippers, what place are the Clippers in? 11th?
yeah, like look at 7 through 11, man. Like this is crazy. So like what are your thoughts on we'll get to Houston in a second, another young team that's doing well, but what are your thoughts on the Warriors and the Clippers so far this season?
The problem with the Warriors is that they don't have a reliable second scorer. Clay looks like he's washed. I don't know what happened to Andrew Wiggins.
How's he been doing? Yeah, he's just been
Andrew Wiggins has been in the witness potential program. Like, where is he? Seriously.
really that bad? It's been that bad?
He's been non-existent this year. I mean, he could have been the MVP of the finals 2 years ago. He was
Yeah.
playing at that level. His level has dropped off a lot.
Iguodala status, though. Put it that way. It wasn't like he's
Yeah,
like
yeah, no, but he was still playing amazing at
yeah.
the biggest
They
stage.
won the NBA championship because of him.
Yeah,
Without him, they
yeah.
don't win it.
So his like disappearance has been a big blow to the Warriors. Klay Thompson is further and further from the guy that we remember him to be, and he's just putting a lot of pressure on Steph. So the Warriors they might have to deal with a lot of adversity this year.
Do you think they'll be able to contend? Obviously, like, do you think they'll be a top six?
They're not a contender right now.
I don't think so either. But will they be a top 6, or do you think they're going to be a play-in team, 7 through 10?
I don't think they're better than Minnesota. They're probably close to the Kings. They're going to be on the cut line for the play-in, I think.
What about the Clippers? What are your thoughts on Harden?
Uh,
I know that they lost their first 4 and 5.
Than the Lakers and the Warriors.
What's that?
I see the Clippers being worse than the Lakers and the Warriors.
Do you think so? Because what reasoning behind that?
I just don't see this thing working out at all. They already had a lot of issues before they got Harden. That kind of introduces a new sort of vibe to the team that doesn't make this team better. Like Kawhi doesn't seem like the alpha. Paul George doesn't seem like the alpha. I don't think Harden's the alpha. So I'm trying to figure out who the person is that's going to be the leader of this team. And I don't see anybody doing that. So I think they're going to be stuck in this position. I could easily see them missing the playoffs entirely, not even making the play-in.
That's wild.
I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I hate James Harden, so I like to see them play bad. So I don't know. It's so early right now. I'm like, I don't know. Like Minnesota's overachieving. Oklahoma City is still definitely overachieving at this stage. Phoenix should be in the mix, and I'm thinking of like looking at this out of this top 6. I could see the T Wolves falling to the 6-7 range. I could see the Thunder falling to the 6-7 range also, and I could see like the Lakers and Golden State moving up possibly, or even a Clippers hypothetically. But I don't know, man. It's just like the West is always super competitive. There's always more teams that are hovering closer to 500 compared to the East. Um, the Rockets, they're super young, so they could slip.
The Rockets are becoming a competent team that's good. One thing that I've noticed with them is they're really good at home, but then I don't think they've won a game on the road yet this year. So if they want to be in the playing mix, they got to change that pretty fast.
Yeah, I could see them moving up a little or sliding. Like I could see them within like the 7 to 11 range. I think.
I think if they got the 10 seed, it would be a fantastic season for them.
I agree. Yeah, it's kind of wild. There's a lot of teams that can make some noise. Obviously, Portland below. These teams have no shot, but
yeah, 12 through 15 probably have no shot.
11-4, 11-5 is pretty wide open. Let's see what the Suns can do when they're fully healthy, right? If they have a shot to like play a majority of the rest of the season with their big three, who knows, right? So
they'll probably be like where they're at right now. If I had to say Phoenix, I think they'd be like the 4.
Yeah, I don't know. Where do you see Minnesota and Oklahoma end of season? I see them dropping for sure.
Yeah, I think Minnesota is probably
Both
like
of
a
them.
5. Thunder's like the 6. I think Denver will finish number 1. They have the best collection of talent and infrastructure. I think 2 is pretty wide open, and Phoenix is in that mix. And then it could be a surprise. Like I see Minnesota in the 5-6 range, but they could easily be a top 2 or 3 team also.
Or a 10.
Yeah.
They're only 6 games ahead of the Warriors. You know what I mean? You go on a 3-game losing streak here. Warriors go on a 3-4 game winning streak.
Yeah, Minnesota's going to have their 3-game losing streak at some point.
Everybody does. So, okay, so the pretenders we already mentioned. The contenders. It looks like it's the Celtics, the Heat, the Nuggets, and who else in the West?
Team in the West, because we got to keep contenders to 4.
All right, so who are in the? Pick your 2 contenders in the East. Go for it right now. Celtics and
I'm going to say the 76ers, just to be completely different.
idiot. Celtics Heat.
Okay.
All
I
right.
mean, of course you're going to say the Heat. This is the Heat channel. I had to say something different.
I mean, just the team that made it to the finals, first round, East finals in the last 4 years. Anyway, go ahead. I'm going to go Nuggets and
Tough. This one's tough.
Nuggets and fuck. Nuggets and Suns. Fuck
Nuggets
it.
and Suns?
Yeah, I mean they're 4th seed and Bradley Beal's played fucking 2 games out of 18 and Booker's missed at least 6 to 7 games, right? So that's still a pretty good record without 2 of their big 3. So I'm going to go Suns by default.
I can't argue with that. The only teams outside of that I would consider is maybe Minnesota or Oklahoma City. They're just both teams are too young.
No shot. They're going to shit the bed eventually.
I think I would agree with you on Suns then.
Alrighty. That was a long video. That was fun. Thanks for joining me today, Neil. I always appreciate your time. That was fun to go through the standings because I haven't done that and haven't paid attention enough across the league. So
we'll have to do it again after Christmas or something.
Yeah, we'll spend some time again and touch base and see where we're at in a month or so. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. Let me know in the comments if you guys think we're absolutely batshit crazy or do you guys agree with our opinions, especially on the contender side. So thanks for watching. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.